Mets fans, I'm not typically that type of fan that puts a ton of stock into spring training. We've been hurt by it before, a la Michael Kadire, who killed it that one year for us and was released just several months into the season. But what I do use spring training for are the young guys, the minor league prospects. What are the guys like Brandon Sproat, the Blade Tidwells, the Acuñas, the Brett Beatties? What are they doing? Are they making any adjustments? Things like watching Francisco Alvarez change his swing from a long through swing to a shorter swing, which looks very crisp to me. Those are the kinds of things that I look for in spring training. I want to get into MLB's top 100 and where the Mets' whole farm system ranks as a whole, plus our friends over on Pix 11, Mark Malusis and Figgy. Give us the lowdown on Jose Iglesias, what he meant to this team, and who's going to replace him, who's going to be getting that first shot. We're going to be getting into that and a whole lot more next on MetCast. What's going on, Met fans? I am Ray. Welcome back to another edition of MetCast. If you're enjoying this content, I just ask you to like, subscribe, turn that notification bell on so you never miss an upload or any of the latest Mets content. And today has me reflecting. We watched Brandon Sproat again go out there last night, topping out at 98, 99 miles an hour, blowing guys away. And it just has you thinking, what if? What if he turns out to be one of those prospects that the New York Mets brought up a few years ago? Maybe the Syndergaard, Harvey, Wheeler types. He reminds me a lot of Matt Harvey. He's got that dog in him. He is 23 years old. I think he's going to be making his debut very early on in the New York Mets season. I saw that David Stern spoke about him getting reps in AAA. He wants to see him dominate down in AAA, which is very loose term for me because we've seen the Mets bring up plenty of pitchers, regardless if they're dominating or not. There's a couple guys that would probably be ahead of him, as Ernest Dove, said yesterday on the program. But I'm really excited about Brandon Sproat and the opportunity he's going to be bringing to the big league club. But what I really want to get into is our friends over at Pix 11, Mark Malusis and Nelson Figueroa, gave us their latest in regard to the New York Mets, what the impact of Jose Iglesias could have, having him on or off the team. And it's really interesting what Nelson Figueroa has to say. Let's give it a look.
Possibly recreate that moment. You can't recreate that success. At some point, I think they not grew tired of it, but it started out and they ran with it. It was a big culture change, but there was more than that. They played winning baseball. That was the most important part, right? So can you be better than the original with a sequel to OMG? No, of course not.
And Nelson made that exact point on our podcast, why he didn't think Jose Iglesias would be returning to the New York Mets, because he said what he did last year is so hard to recreate. He didn't do that his entire career. He's well into his 30s now. I mean, look around Major League Baseball. Why was there not one other MLB team throughout all of MLB that was willing to give this guy a major league contract? Remember, he signed with the Padres, but it is a minor league contract. So whether or not he makes a big league club will remain to be seen. But there's a reason why he's still out there. I'm guessing a lot of teams are not a believer, just like Nelson Figueroa.
So I do think, though, Iglesias' skill set still would have been very nice.
On the Mets organization?
Well, I mean, they had a lot of attraction from it. They had a lot of attention from it. But at the same time, like the song wasn't winning them ball games. The song was winning them playing the song whenever they hit a home run. Yeah, that's hitting home runs led to the song being played. But it wasn't just like just hey, let's go out and throw a concert just for the fans, even though we're not winning.
No, I get it. Listen. I don't think they'll necessarily regret it. I thought it was, it was unbelievable. You felt good for him. Obviously, the Renaissance kind of a year for a guy that was a light hitting, defensive minded major leaguer, and gets an opportunity. JD Martinez helped him with the weighted bat, right? I mean, everything that the heavier bat and all the.
That's what's also going to be an interesting point that Mark brings up right there. What impact of losing a guy like JD Martinez is going to have on this team? Let's not forget, he was brought in. He was a veteran bat. You heard through the season how he had a really big impact on Mark Vientos. Not having him on the clubhouse with Iglesias, is that going to have a negative effect on this clubhouse? Now, I know everybody's responsible for their own stats, but at the end of the day, those veteran leadership type guys like the JD Martinez will not be in that clubhouse. They're going to be relying more on the young guys. Yes, you brought in a Juan Soto, but we don't know what kind of teammate Juan Soto is going to be in the New York Mets clubhouse. We saw the dividends that a guy like JD Martinez paid for the New York Mets. He hit for them on the field, not a ton, but he did hit a little bit, and he played a big role in that clubhouse. That veteran leadership, the heavy back for Jose Iglesias, helping Mark Vientos with his swing, identifying pitches, and having a better approach at the plate. It'll be really interesting to see how much these young guys soaked that up last year.
The things that we've heard about a year ago. I agree. You can't go out there and recreate it. I think what it shows you is a testament to the mindset of Stearns, the president. Emotions aren't going to come into play when he's making baseball decisions. I think you saw it with the negotiations with Pete Alonso. Emotions weren't going to come into play, and emotions weren't because this was the easy move for the Mets.
Right.
The easy move was to bring Iglesias back. Sign him, give him, a short-term 1-year deal because of everything he did for the organization. The Mets said, thanks, but no thanks. We appreciate what you did for us a year ago, but we think that's the best we're going to get out of you, so we're moving on.
Plus, they have a young crop of prospects that they're ready to see what they can do at the major league level. He would have been a stopgap, not necessarily the answer.
I agree with him, and that's clearly the approach that the New York Mets are going to be taking in regard to this whole situation with them. It just is. They're trying to go young, and that's one thing that David Stern spoke about yesterday was giving the young guys a shot, which tells me that Brett Beatty is going to be on this team, regardless if he performed in the spring or he didn't perform in the spring. He's going to be getting the initial crack on this team. Now, who's going to be the backup shortstop? Nick Madrigal was supposed to be that backup shortstop type. He's clearly out for the year with that fractured shoulder. So maybe this opens the door to a Luis Angel Acuna, although I think the Mets would prefer to him to get full-time at bats down in AAA. Brett Beatty's already 24 years old, will be 25 this season. It's kind of put up or shut up for him this year. And I like what I'm hearing out of him. He seems more relaxed this year. I saw him down at camp. He just looks more relaxed. He doesn't look like that deer in the headlights that we saw last year. The New York Mets were trying to actively change his swing during the season, telling him to lift the ball more, which maybe he's not that type of guy to lift the ball, throughout, changing the swing during the season. But during spring training, he's hitting home runs. He's hitting the ball in the gap, and that's something that's really nice to see. Hopefully it translates to the MLB. But now I want to move on to our next topic. MLB.com released their top 100 rankings and included the top 30 ranked farm systems. And here you have it. The New York Mets fall in at number 12. You can see their rankings in the past in 2023, 24, 11, 13. So they've been hanging around that mark for a while. In their top 100 prospects, Brandon Sproul, who comes in at 46, Jet Williams, who's at 57, and Carson Page, who's at 100. Let's be honest, though, I really think that Drew Gilbert, outside of injury, would probably be in this. But he was injured last year. Same thing with Jet Williams. I think Jet Williams probably would have been in the 30 to 35 range, although he did suffer that injury last year. They go on to say New York's big addition of the offseason didn't come at an expensive of its farm system, and in fact, one of those additions was shortstop Ilian Pena, which right there, let me stop right there. How are they considered the same farm system when they probably got the overall, outside of Roki Sasaki, as I said a million times, outside of him, the number one international prospect in all of baseball, who's already cracked the Mets top 10 according to MLB.com's top 100. He comes in at number 9. So that's going to be interesting. Ilian Pena, the largest international free agent this year, $5 million, not named Roki Sasaki. The 5-tool 17-year-old joins the infield group that boasts Williams, Ryan Clifford, Luis Angel Acuna, Jesus Baez, who Ernest Dove last night said his New York Mets favorite prospect. He had injuries, but he thinks he's going to be an absolute stud. And Ronnie Mauricio. Prospects who have gotten or could have get in the top 100 at some point in their careers. Sproul should get MLB look this summer with his plus velocity and deep pitch mix, and follow top 6 prospects. Nolan McLean and Jonah Tung could also push through upper level rotations towards Queens. And that's very exciting to see. how many times do we? When's the last time we had a pitching crop like this? We kind of touched on it last night. How many times have we had three top guys in our top six? Not very often. Outside of the Wheelers, Harveys, Mats, and Syndergaards, it's been a minute. Who's the last big time guy that we brought up? And you had Christian Scott, who would probably be in that top 10 list outside of him getting injured last year. So you could look to him probably towards 2026, getting back into that top 10. So this is a very exciting time to be a New York Mets fan. Obviously, spring training hopefully will be coming to an end within the next few weeks. We're going to be going to opening day. If I see you guys there, I'd appreciate swing by and say hello. I just want to give you a quick programming note. We will be having Joe DeMeo on. Odds are sometime next week. Everybody knows him from SNY and the Mets Pod. Great guy, very intellectually sound when it comes to his New York Mets information, including guys in the farm system and the major league team. I'm hoping to have that as of next week. Again, guys, if you're enjoying this content, I just ask you to like and subscribe, potentially share it with a friend, because that's the best way to spread this content. We'll continue to bring you all the New York Mets content as it comes along. And as always, let's go Mets. See ya.